Hello there, commanders, and welcome to another patch notes video. We are on patch 4.14, and as always I haven't read those before, so you'll get my genuine first reaction to what the hell is happening in the patch notes. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Table of contents. Balance adjustment. Ooh, that's quite a lot. Senior unit. I think that's premium units. Then Rome, China, Carthage, Greece, Barbarian, Commander balance adjustment, and unit balance adjustment, and then problem fix, so just bug fixes. That's interesting. So just a huge balance patch, apparently. Looking at this, it's going to be quite big. Okay. Let's say I'm positively hopeful. Okay. Balance. Balance adjustment, senior unit. We found that these units need to be further optimized in order to better adapt to the current new territorial warfare mode. In order to achieve this goal, we will more clearly define the battlefield positioning of advanced units. The following content is the elaboration and explanation of different battlefield positioning. Output type unit. Right. So battlefield positioning is like battlefield role. So I guess output type unit is just damage dealer, right? Detective unit would be scouting unit. Intrusive unit, so that would be charging unit. Intercepting unit. Breakthrough unit, so again like charging units. I guess here focused on morale damage. Defensive units, that's for itself. Supporting units also kind of explains itself. Okay, well, let's read through it. How do they describe them? So output type unit description. The unit is good at attacking the enemy through battle. For melee infantry units, it is directly engaged in close range combat. For long range units, it kills the unit by shooting. No shit, Sherlock. Advantages. High health and high armor. Melee infantry units to improve melee attack and melee defense. Long range units increase shooting damage and reload speed. Unit disadvantages. Lower than average movement speed, lower than average movement acceleration, lower than average steering speed. But does that count for long range units as well? Because that goes together with, I guess, melee attack and melee defense, not really. Oh, well, it goes. Also, advantage is high health and high armor, so it's for both melee and long range. Yeah, and then melee infantry, obviously melee attack and melee defense, and then range units, higher shooting damage and better reload speed. But because of high health and high armor, it would also suffer lower speed, lower maneuverability. Okay. Detective unit. Description. By improving the unit's vision and movement speed, allowing the unit to specialize in reconnaissance and assisting the team combat unit. Advantages. Are unit advantages? No. There's like a dot missing here. Advantages. Greatly increase the vision range, increase morale, and increase movement speed. Unit disadvantages: low melee hits, low melee defense, low damage, or low armor. So essentially barbarians, I guess. Intrusive unit. Description. Unit's charge skills can cause greater threats. Further weaken the unit's melee combat capability. Unit advantages: increase charge damage, increase the enemy's morale penalty caused by charge. Charge doesn't cause morale penalty. It's the flanking. And I guess nuke damage as well, which is derived from flanking as well. So, or is it? I don't actually know. So, in the comments, please tell me how nuke damage works, because I don't know. I would like to know, I guess. Where were we? Intrusive unit. And increased movement speed, obviously. Unit disadvantages: low melee hits, low melee defense. Breakthrough unit. Description. The unit is good at flanking attacks, hitting the morale of the enemy and causing the enemy to disintegrate. This type of unit has higher requirements for battlefield position and prediction. If used properly, it will cause huge damage to the enemy. So essentially Forksmen. Unit advantage. Extremely high morale strike effect, increase movement speed. Unit disadvantages: lower melee hits, lower melee defense, lower melee damage. That's not Forksmen. Forksmen have quite high melee attack and high melee damage. Low melee defense, obviously no shield. but also they have extremely low armor. But well, maybe they have some other breakthrough units in mind as well. And also I guess those would just come with Forksmen type units rather than the breakthrough unit role. Whatever the hell they want to do with it. Defensive unit. Description. The unit is good at resisting enemy attacks, reducing and absorbing the damage caused by the enemy. Unit advantages. Extremely high health, extremely high armor, shield armor, good morale and good melee defense. Unit disadvantages. Extremely low movement speed, extremely low movement acceleration, extremely low turning speed, low melee hits, low melee damage. I mean, not necessarily, because Phalanx increases your melee hits quite significantly, and damage as well, especially depending on who you're facing. And commander you play, but overall, I guess. Supporting unit. Description. Units are good at providing support to friendly forces. Unit advantages. Good morale, good movement speed, good melee defense. Unit disadvantages. Lower melee hits, lower melee damage. Supporting units? I wonder like what kind of units would fit into that description. Droids maybe? Retentus? But then the Retentus could just easily fit into the output. Damage output unit type. Also Belgae Marksman. Ebrones Marksman, I think they were called. But they're not in the game at the moment, I think. That was a OP unit, if I ever seen one. Well, OP for an archer. Because memes of Belgae, holy shit. Memes of Belgae, that single ability. It increases your morale, it lowers the enemy morale. It is, I think, 30 seconds cooldown, 15 seconds duration, so you can cycle it essentially all the time and then have 15 seconds to spare. It has huge range, and also, I think it boosted your damage as well? Or maybe, I don't know, it did some other buffs, maybe melee buffs, melee debuffs to the enemy. I don't remember exactly what the other part of it was, but even just the morale alone, it's so strong. Like you could literally just walk up and route units with memes of Belgae. I even have videos about it. Who are just, no, wait, let me route you with memes of Belgae. Just walk up, press the ability, and he's gone. So yeah, that was pretty memey ability, yep. But then again, like their main feature was still the damage they dealt because they're archers. Though I guess I could see them as supporting unit. Yep, makes sense to put them in that category. But whatever. Unit attribute adjustment details. Please note that because some units have reached the expectations of battlefield positioning, not all units have been adjusted. For example, the Germanic scouts have undergone major adjustments. The Spanish 9th Army only made minor changes. Okay, auxiliary cavalry, buff to melee attack, buff to melee defense, buff to HP, quite significant. Body armor also quite significant by 10, but movement speed has been reduced, which is kind of weird, because that's like light cavalry. It shouldn't be the damage output cavalry, to be honest. So I see that more as a charging unit, but I guess they want to make it an output unit rather than charging unit. So that's why they're making those changes. And they are making Germanic scouts into an actual scouting unit. So they're faster. They also deal more damage. They also have higher range and they also have higher morale. But the vision range remains the same. Okay. I should buff that, I guess, but maybe it was already high enough. So I guess essentially what they're doing here is changing the statistics of premium units so that they are more specialized to fit into one of these categories. And if I were to read through all of these and analyze all of these, we would be here easily for 1 hour, if not 2. So maybe let me focus on just the more interesting units. The Spanish 9th Army, that's the tier 8 Legion 9 Hispana. So they have been made quite tankier, especially against archers, and then a little bit slower, but that's a buff to tier 8 Roman infantry. Adult soldiers, that's Triarii. I mean, high melee defense, lower melee attack, yeah, that screams spearmen to me, so that must be Triarii. That's a buff. Yep, melee hit slightly lower, so it will nerf Vengeance a little bit, but then again it's Vengeance, so you still get huge buffs to melee attack and melee weapon damage. So yeah, Triarii will continue, holy shit, to be to be extremely powerful. They're a little bit slower, but once they get into combat, oh boy, they get into combat. Retaining veterans, that's probably Retentus. Yeah, must be Retentus. Well, that's tier 5. It's also a very strong unit, but it's tier 5, so let's not pay more attention to them. Beatia Lancer. I mean, there are Sarmatian Lancers, but they're not in the game at the moment. So that must be tier 6 Spearmen, who I have no idea what their name. I just forgot. But well, it's just essentially discount Triarii, I guess, and they have gotten a lot of adjustments. So I guess pause if you want to read through them. But in general, I see they're just in the same direction, being made much more tanky and powerful melee, like by quite a lot, yeah. So actually you have been through like 2 or 3 patches of just across the board premium units buffs in the past. And those have been received with, well, mixed feelings, mixed reception they had. And they're getting buffed once again. Because those are not adjustments. I don't really see these as adjustments. Like, whenever I look at this, it looks like there is more buffs than there is nerfs. It's like, yes, we are adjusting them because we are buffing one of the statistics and nerfing some others, right? But the buffs are much more significant than the nerfs. So overall, all these units are getting buffed. Ghost of Canaan, that's tier 7. Morale buffed, defense buffed, HP buffed. Armor buffed, shield armor buffed, speed slightly nerfed. So yeah, you see, it just reinforces their identity as a defensive tanky unit. But all these buffs, I can tell you, are much more significant than these nerfs. Like, the movement speed will not matter that much, not nearly as much as all these buffs. Okay, China, tier 7 crossbowmen. I mean, they kind of suck. Their weakness is the shooting distance, so I guess they're buffing that. Shooting damage doesn't matter because it's all about AP anyway. But they don't have poison. They have snipe though, which kind of just equalizes the range between them and their tier attack 3 counterpart. This is like a sort of balance here, but then again it's kind of shit. So I don't know. Xiangdeng dead. I have no idea what that is. Archer. So that's probably a tier 4 crossbows. Doesn't matter. Falling into the camp. Also no idea. Sword servants. Those are probably handmaidens. Okay. And just across the board. Ooh, breakthrough unit. Yeah, it's quite a lot, actually. From -70 to -84. It's a big buff. Ranger. Also sounds like ranged units, but isn't. It's getting melee defense buffs by 1. Okay. Well, whatever that unit is. Carthage. Okay, the spearmen getting buffed. I mean, everything is getting buffed. Yeah, speaking of Carthage and OP premium units, Surus. I mean, that's tier 5. It's pay to win because it's the only tier 5 elephant. So if you are ever in a tier 5 tournament that allows premium units, the only way to get an elephant is to pay. So there we go. If it isn't pay to win, I don't know what is. And you can say, oh, but elephants are balanced. But even if they were, but they aren't, but let's say they are, that still gives you one more tactical possibility over your enemy. And elephants as a unique unit type, even if it's just, like, let's say on tier 5, they're only swordsmen, there are no spearmen, and then there is tier 5 premium spearmen, then you suddenly have many more tactical possibilities, even though it's just another infantry unit type. You can apply the same logic to Forksmen, or maybe a light swordsman even, just like Barbarian swordsman, right? Or dogs, or any other, just gives you more tactical possibilities. And every time you have more possibilities, you have more combos, more other, like, you know, it unlocks, it's a chain reaction essentially. And when those are elephants that are very powerful, then, you know, it definitely doesn't make it better. So, okay. I'm sorry. What the fuck? I'm sorry, what? My dog is staring at me and I was like some kind of a madman, which maybe... What the fuck? I'm literally crying out of laughter. What? Have you ever seen a routed elephant? Have you ever? No, my dog knocked over a bottle of water. Yeah, he wants to go out for a walk. Okay. I mean, that's a meme and a half. Okay, please, in the comments, tell me, have you ever seen a routed elephant? Because in order to rout an elephant, the only way to rout an elephant is to apply nuke damage and then an ability that lowers the morale. And I don't even know if that would be possible, if those two things combined would be enough to rout an elephant. I never seen that happen. And across thousands of battles that I have played ever since the introduction of elephants, I have never seen an elephant rout. And maybe it's because the combination of nuke damage and a morale lowering ability that also has the high enough morale penalty was applied at the same time. It's extremely hard to nuke an elephant. It would need to expose its rear, and it would need to be shot by like repeating crossbows or barrage essentially to nuke it. And even then it would be hard. Now we have XP, so maybe if you have like 4 chevrons and the elephant has 0 chevrons and then it gets shot in the ass, then maybe it's gonna get nuked. And then if you have a Scipio or Miltiades close by, it can apply Warcry or Fear. And then maybe the elephant routes. But really, so what? Oh, I guess it cannot right click on you anymore because it's routed. So, yeah. I would actually need to test it, like just go into a lobby, get somebody on an elephant, and then try to nuke it and then Warcry it. Or Fear it with Miltiades. And see if it is actually possible. But even if it is actually possible to rout an elephant, Again, in the thousands of battles I have played since the introduction of elephants, I have never seen a routed elephant. Hey, maybe it is because it was 69 morale and not 67. Maybe now, on 67 morale, you will be able to rout him. And again, I don't even know how nuke damage works. So... But I don't know if CA knows either what they're doing when they're lowering a morale of an elephant. We'll see. If I start seeing routing elephants, then I'll bite my words, I guess. But then again, this is just a tier 5 premium elephant, and the other elephants are not getting changed, and I didn't see those route at anyway, as well. Speaking of OP elephants, there's also Melkart. Okay, no. Mecher Guardian? Yeah, I mean, that's an armor stat of an elephant. This one is getting morale buffed because he kept routing all the time, so obviously they need to buff Melkart's morale. Why do elephants even have morale in the first place? Like, just make them like dogs. They don't have morale. I don't know. I mean, elephants that were, like, you know, the entire mechanic in Rome 1 and Rome 2 then, and I guess in Medieval 2 there were also elephants in there. Like, their thing was running amok, right? Like, running out of control. In Total War Arena, they literally never run out of control. So, it would be cool if they introduced some kind of running amok mechanic for elephants in Arena. But then again, if you're playing only elephants, they're just not a part of your army. They're like literally everything in control. And if they kept running amok, then yeah, I guess that's the argument why no such thing exists. But then just make them able to be routed? Well, the entire morale system is a huge meme anyway. But thanks EA for giving me a very nice laugh. Okay, let's look at the actual changes that matter for the elephants. Melee attack lowered doesn't matter. Melee defense also barely matters. Field of view buffed? Yeah, sure. Because they already weren't watchtowers inside the tall grass, so they need to be buffed. Armor being slightly reduced. It's still an elephant armor, so I really doubt it would change enough to, like, you know, for ranged units to suddenly start dealing more than just AP. And then, holy shit, that's a huge buff to speed. And it's already an elephant that duels all the other enemy elephants. So now it makes sure that he can always, like, very easily catch up to them. That's a huge buff to an elephant that was already extremely pay to win. Holy shit. Buy Melkart, guys. That's all I can say. It's OP. It was always OP, and now it's even more OP. If you don't know why, it's because of the Gore ability, which is unique for that elephant, at least on that tier. So the other tier 7 elephant does not have Gore ability. I think it has Roar instead. Doesn't really matter. A Gore is additional strike for an elephant, which, if you have an additional strike in an elephant duel, you always win that elephant duel. Because the other elephant has Stomp, and it has regular attack. You have Stomp, regular attack, and Gore. And Gore is on a pretty short cooldown as well, I think. But it doesn't really matter, it's just an additional strike. You'll get it off like 1 or 2 times within a duel, and that will mean that you're always in the duel with like half of your HP left while the enemy elephants are dead. So yeah. Getting Melkart is essentially guaranteeing yourself to always have an advantage in an elephant duel. And if you limit the enemy elephants, your team has elephants, the enemy team does not have elephants, at least until they respawn, right? They lose their XP, you keep your XP, and in the time that the enemy team doesn't have elephants and your team has, you have quite a huge advantage. So that's why I think Melkart is extremely OP. Surus, is also getting buffed. More HP, more armor, more melee weapon damage, because why not? So, yeah. OP in tournaments. I mean, OP in tournaments as well. Holy shit, it's OP in tournaments. Yep, essentially just pay to win. Luckily, the tournaments we had recently were all banning premium units, so that's not much of an issue, but it is also very pay to win in regular matchmaking. But I guess the argument for Melkart is that if the enemy team doesn't have elephants, then the regular tier 7 elephant is slightly better. But it also depends on what you want to achieve, because Gore still deals a lot of damage to enemy infantry. So you can apply nuke damage maybe, or just apply more damage in a shorter amount of time, which is also very good. Okay, continuing on. Greece. Myrmidons, I mean everything is getting buffed. Ooh! That's a huge change. So they changed Spartans from defensive to breakthrough. So now you want to go flanking and routing with Spartans? Really? I don't know about that. When I think Spartans, the Royal Spartans, the 300 Spartans, I'm thinking I have to go Thermopylae, triple blob with Leonidas, phalanx up in the hot gates, and pull through the enemy. No, I mean, okay. I don't say no flanking involved, but then again, you do flank your enemies if you pull through with the phalanx frontally through them. So that's actually quite a huge buff. Holy shit. Yep, don't go flanking, just, I mean flank, but through pushing forward through the center of the unit. There we go. That's how you use Spartan hoplites now. I mean, I used them before and all the other experience pretty much. Delian Peltas, tier 4, War Engineers. So that's the tier 7. That's like repeating light artillery. It's supposed to shoot like multiple shots. I never seen it in action. I don't have it myself. I could go and test that in a custom battle, I guess. How they play. Which maybe I will at some point. But I guess nerf to speed, that's quite significant. Makes it easier for enemy units to catch up to them once they close the distance. So that's good. Health and armor being buffed though, so it's harder for ranged units to nuke them. But then again, the armor is still pretty low, the health is pretty low, so the nuke damage should still be quite easy to apply. And I guess nuke damage is easier to apply with the health is higher, right? But our armor is also higher, so maybe it balances out. Barbarians, that's Spear Brothers, tier 4, Phalanx Infantry, Gothic Cavalry, tier 6. I mean, just buffs across the board. And if there are nerfs like, oh, by 1, oh, by 1, but when it's buffs like, oh, by 11, by 7, yep. Or by 43 health. Charge Impact? Oh, yeah, that's another huge buff. Charge defense as well, that doesn't really matter. Melee weapon damage buff, quite high. Armor, quite high buff again. And yeah, well, nerfs to speed a little bit. Celtic Slingers. Shooting distance buff. That's pretty good always, that's tier 5. Druids. Druids are a defensive unit. If I ever think of a supporting unit, those will be Druids, because they have like their chant that makes them, it was like super slow, but buffs all the units around them. Is that what they do? Well, melee attack actually nerfed, melee defense buffed, health buffed, and body armor slightly buffed. I mean, being defensive kind of reinforces that. Their supportive capabilities, because they'll be able to hold out for longer and apply their buffs for longer. And despite being defensive units, their speed isn't getting nerfed. So I don't know. They should have been classified as a supporting unit. Do we even have any supporting units, actually? No, we don't. So when I said at the beginning, I don't really know what kind of unit would fall into that category, I was right, because none of them do. So why do you make a category for nobody? Like, you don't have a unit that falls into that category. Maybe in the future they will release something like that. I mean, that's pretty much what they did to Druids. So why the hell is Druids a defensive unit and not a supporting unit? Doesn't matter. Okay, we are in Commander Balance Adjustment. Now we're talking. That's the actual important part of the patch, I guess. Shang Xiang. 100 shots and 100 hits. 75 to 76. Okay, so that's Sun Ren. Deadly Precision. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that doesn't make sense. But 100 shots and 100 hits sounds like Deadly Precision, I guess. So the cooldown has been buffed by 5 seconds. I mean, yeah, okay. Don't really have like a hard opinion on that. But I guess Zhuge Liang still dominates as the ranged commander for crossbows, so maybe they want to reinforce that. And a 5 seconds shorter cooldown will help. It will help also to better synchronize it with the cooldowns of Quick Reload. And the other ability, what was it? Oh, well, Repeating Crossbows can't even use it, so it doesn't matter. Okay, Dongzuo Terrorism, so Reign of Terror. The penalty effect of the skill's damage to the enemy melee weapon. Skills damage to the enemy melee weapon. That's melee weapon damage. Right? That is being nerfed. And that is being lowered from minus 30% to minus 20%. Well, I don't really think that's the reason Dongzuo is OP. I think it's because, well, Reign of Terror knocks back the enemy units and also deals quite a lot of damage. I've even been able to nuke enemy units frontally by just using double or triple Reign of Terror. And also Reign of Terror then applies minus 20 morale, I think. So it's extremely easy to route units with Dongzuo if you have some kind of support. Or even if you just flank yourself, right? And then you nuke plus minus 20 morale plus flanks. Yep. The units are running in front of Dongzuo, and that's what makes him powerful. Not really the nerf to melee capabilities of the units around him. Alexander the Great, Anvil. Improved the melee defense penalty of the skill against the enemy. Adjusted minus 50% to minus 20%. Oh, okay. Alexander and his Anvil is a meme. Always has been and always will be. Alexander is a cavalry commander, or is supposed to be a cavalry commander, and Anvil is an infantry skill that has been put on cavalry, and it doesn't make sense on cavalry that much. It helps you disengage. It doesn't help you pin down the enemy so that you can charge him in the ass. I mean, sometimes it does if you play it in a certain way, but if you play it in that particular certain way, then you're not playing kind of correctly, or you're just fucked up and then Anvil just kind of saves your ass. What I would do, I made like a huge Reddit thread about it in the past. Huge, not that huge. But essentially I want Parmenion to be added into the game as Alexander's bro, and give Anvil to him, make him like defensive interceptive commander, so between something like between Leonidas and Miltiades, because Miltiades is like intercepting aggressive commander, you know, break ranks, run quickly all the time, flank, fear, rout the enemy, deal a lot of damage, right? That's Miltiades. Leonidas, stay in place, tanky, never rout. And also be good against ranged units, I guess. And Parmenion would be something in between. It would be like supportive, right? Because he would be able to charge in. I would give him a charge that is pretty strong. So like high impact damage. Not impact damage, sorry, charge impact. So it can actually intercept the enemy units, knock them down with the charge, and then hold them down in place with the Anvil, and then the ultimate ability would be some kind of AoE buff, for example, to defensive capabilities of units behind, around him. Or maybe offensive, or maybe both. Doesn't matter, like there's a lot of options that you could go there for, but his identity would be defined essentially by charge in, intercept, that would be long charge like Breath of Mars. Long charge to intercept enemy incoming cavalry, infantry, whatever, to cover for ranged units, and then set up anvils for cavalry charges or friendly infantry. And give Alexander a proper cavalry skill instead of anvil, like rapid advance that was given to Kinane. So even either come up with a new ability that's sort of similar to rapid advance, or a new ability that just reinforces his identity as a charging cavalry commander. I would really like to see Alexander be kind of like anti-cavalry cavalry commander. That would be pretty neat to see, because he already wins all the charges with Wedge. Wedge is drunk, so fix also Wedge, right? It's an entire like commander slash cavalry slash Alexander slash great commander rework. The bottom of the story is that there's a lot of things you can do. Just do something instead of stubbornly sticking to what it is right now and isn't working. Okay, Hannibal, heavenly weapon, so that must be at Portes. Melee weapon damage bonus effect adjusted from 50% to 40%. Okay, that's a good nerf. I'll give that to CA. I think they correctly identified what makes Hannibal OP, unlike in Dong Zhuo's case. But what makes Hannibal truly OP as one of the best damage dealers in the game is the combination of the melee weapon damage bonus, which they are nerfing, so that's good. The melee attack that comes from at Portes as well, and also the triple phalanx pull through, essentially, which makes him, well, just deal a lot of damage because the melee attack stacks up, the damage bonus stacks up, you pull through, and you just obliterate the enemies in front of you. And unless they have a direct counter ready for you, well, you're pretty much invincible. So there's that. So a slight nerf to one of those factors that makes Hannibal one of the strongest damage output dealers, damage dealers, yeah, in the game. So that's a good nerf. I'll give CA that. Now, Goddess, oh, that's just regular units, balance adjustment. Goddess of Andata will be Andrata's Swordsman. I think that's what the unit is called. Swordswoman, I guess. Either way, tier 7 Barbarian Infantry, and their armor has been lowered by 2. Yeah, sure. Shu Guo King Ki. Queen. I have no idea what that is, but its damage has been adjusted from 186 to 181. Blood Rider. Oh, I know this one. Tier 7 Barbarian Cavalry has been nerfed. Melee weapon damage from 197 to 192. I guess it's a good nerf. It was going to be enough. Probably not. Scythian Archers. Ranged weapon block adjusted from 19 to 17. That also barely changes anything. Ambusher, armor adjusted again by 2. So no big changes so far. Black Mountain Ambush. So that's... Oh, Ambusher obviously tier 7 Barbarian Archers, Scythian Archers, tier 7 Greek Archers. And Black Mountain Ambushers, I think they are tier 7 Chinese Crossbowmen. Not 100% sure. They're definitely Chinese Crossbowmen, but are they tier 7? I don't know. And well, ranged weapon damage, so yeah, that doesn't matter because they deal AP only, unless those are Forksmen, I guess, and other units that expose the rear, but even then not always. Like even if you shoot them in the rear, you still deal only AP damage. Repeating crossbow shooter. Shooting distance adjusted from 65 to 60. I think that's tier 6, because they're just called repeating crossbows and nothing else, I think. So that's pretty big nerf for the tier 6 ones. Higher continuous crossbow shooter, so that would be mercenary repeating crossbows. And I don't know which tier that is. Possibly 7, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, armor has been lowered by 2. Heavy catapult. Casting damage? Wait, what? But it's not range, because range is like an equal number. That's like 400, I think. So it's... They're buffing heavy artillery. What are you doing, CA? No! Battle shooter. Whatever the hell that is. Probably light artillery. Reload time also buffed. Right. So, about the armor changes, like a lot of armor changes just by 2, right? Like -2 here, -2 here, and -2 here. So you may think it's not much, but the way damage is calculated in the War Arena is very mysterious. I even made videos back in a Wargaming version where tier 6 slingers, after getting the second sling upgrade, that gives you +5 ranged weapon damage, and then suddenly, from dealing just 10 damage per rock, you start dealing 40 damage per rock. I was like, what the hell? It increased my damage by 5, and suddenly, instead of dealing only AP, so like 10 per rock, I deal 40. Like, where does the +30 comes from when I increased my damage by 5? Is there some kind of magical threshold where some kind of other formula, other calculation starts kicking in? That, you know, the +5 makes it go over? Maybe it was just not a very scientific experiment, because it wasn't. So maybe it was just a coincidence. But I've played a lot of ranged units, and the overall consensus is that you either deal only AP, or you deal a lot more than just AP. And very rarely you deal something in the middle. It's like, oh yeah, my AP is 20, and I deal 22, 25. No, you either deal only AP, or you suddenly deal 30, 40 damage. So... yeah, I don't really know how the hell that works, except that it doesn't work, really? I don't know. Maybe somebody can explain it to me in the comments. And then, bug fixes we finally gotten through. Fixed an issue where point C would not be displayed after unlocking in battle. Okay. Fixed an issue where the player's profile level would not increase after being judged by the system to be on hook. Fixed an issue where the commander panel could not be redirected to the premium account or gold coin purchase after opening the commander panel. Fixed the problem that the copy battle ID button and the play button overlap when viewing the replay of a friend's battle. Fixed the issue where the commander who has not unlocked can spend 3 experience to upgrade a level. That's interesting. Fixed an issue where other players could not be invited to join the squad after the battle. Yeah, speaking of that was the previous patch. What the actual fuck? Like, they ruined the social panel. Like, it was working okay. Like, it wasn't perfect. But they just went like 5 steps backwards. The scroll bug is back, where each scroll, no matter how many friends you have, scrolls you by like 10% or something. So if you have a lot of friends, it just jumps like crazy, instead of just like by 1 or 2 friends every single time. You no longer see their status, so you don't know if they're in matchmaking, if they're in battle, if they're already in party, if they're online, like what are they doing? Like, you just don't see their status. I mean, okay, you'd see the distinction between online and offline players, but that's about it. So that's kind of shitty. Like, I want to invite a friend, and I don't see if he's out of the battle or whatever the hell he's doing. So I really, really don't like that. Continuing on, where were we? Fix the issue that the discount label will be displayed abnormally in the purchase background or the already owned background. Fix an issue where two players sending friend invitations to each other at the same time would cause a crash. Yeah, also, friend invites don't work anymore. I cannot deny, like, somebody adds me to their friends or asks me to accept the friend invite. I cannot deny that. There's no option. So the other option is to either just leave them be like that and get in your way, or accept them and then remove them. But you also cannot remove them if they are offline. So you need to accept them, have them be online, and then remove them if you don't want to accept the invite. It's fucked up. I mean, I don't do that often, but I do not accept the invites from people who have no nicknames, because, like, how the hell am I supposed to know who that is? I mean, there's probably Chinese signs involved in there, but then again, I don't know anybody with Chinese nicknames, so why would I accept that anyway? So just fix the problems of your new friend system, or rather, just the display of it. Like, it was working fine. Why the hell did you touch it? Like, it was okay. Like, it was buggy, so fix the bugs instead of just trying to rework it and just rework it to, like, your request, essentially. Like, the old bugs are back, and the features that were nice are gone, and new bugs are also introduced. That's really bad. Really, really bad. Okay, fix the problem that two novice guide tutorials will pop up prompts at the same time. Fix the problem that the operation guide of the commander skill is abnormally locked. Fix an issue where Sun Ren Cloud's piercing arrow skill could not be used on ranged units. I mean, it could, but maybe it now will be able to be used on repeating cruisers, even though it's not supposed to. I don't know. Well, maybe that was just a one-off bug, because it didn't happen to me like I could. Fix an issue where the player was judged by the system to hang up during a battle and prompted popped up after returning to the battle again, unable to get the premium account and premium unit revenue bonus. Sure. Fix the problem of blue borders on the avatar in the store. Fix the confusion of Liu Bei's skill description. Clearing up confusions, but was there any of how Liu Bei works? I guess the only confusion that there may be, is how are the 9 units counted within the range of ability? Is it being adjusted as the units are joining and leaving? Or is it based on how many units are within the circle as the ability is cast? I think that's the only thing that could be cleared up. But it's like continuous aura, so it should also, because as units enter, they also receive the buff. So they also should count to the 9 units. Something we just need to go and test in a battlefield or custom battle. I don't have Liu Bei personally, so I didn't really bother with that much, but I guess it has come to my mind. That's something I can test and see if that changes. Fix the problem that the remaining time of the commander discount activity in the store is not displayed properly. Fix an issue where the social menu displayed abnormally when hovering over the players, over other players in the team. Fix the problem that premium account button can be clicked after viewing the main menu. Yeah, so I guess no really big significant bug fixes. Which is sad because there's still many bugs that could definitely be fixed. I mean, defining bugs, right? But either way, they're not getting better, like with unit coherency beams and so on. But well, those are different videos on my channel. Some of them exist already, some may be coming in the future. But that's the end of this video. We have gotten through the patch notes. They're quite long. Sadly, like 80-90% of it is just premium unit buffs. But hey, maybe they'll get more money. Maybe they'll finally invest some of it into Arena. That would be nice, because CA still refuses to properly invest in this game. They have an amazing product. As much as I shit on them and meme on them, I always keep saying that the core concept, the core gameplay, and overall balance is really fucking good. It's just the details are not really ironed out. But those are the details, right? The overall experience is really good. They just need to promote it properly, invest into it properly, and then see the return. But they're just too afraid. So, yeah. Maybe next time. Maybe we'll get them next time, once Arena returns back to the West, but you can definitely help us happen. But well, until then, I'll see you on the Chinese battlefields, commanders.